Off and running on a Thursday, flock. It is 7 past the hour here, 12:07 on Thursday, October 17th. We are entering week 7 of this NFL regular season, and welcome inside the vault for a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined alongside Sarah Ellison, and here we go. It's a big rundown. It's a jammed rundown. It's a chock full rundown because Ravens wire dropped last night. Sarah has been in her bag putting audio clips and biggest takeaways together for you on that side of things. Zay Flowers joined Good Morning Football today and had a cool interview in terms of maybe responding to some of the noise of those out there that are overlooking Baltimore's wide receiver room. First take content related to the Jets and Aaron Rodgers and why we're going to be keeping receipts on something that Stephen A. Smith said, just based on maybe some goalposts moving. Mad Dog, Chris Russo, went
that
off
was nice.
Tony Romo.
You got red-handed, Bobby, red-handed.
What's that?
You're putting it nicely. Stephen A's been caught red-handed. Treating Lamar differently from everybody else. It's good.
Caught red-handed by you. I have not watched it yet, so I'll look forward to hearing what he had to say. And then Chris Russo, a.k.a. Mad Dog, took issue with Tony Romo's comments, building up John Harbaugh on Sunday for the CBS broadcast and a ton of other different pieces of content. So first of all, glad you guys are here. If you're enjoying the show, if you're enjoying the content, please like the video on your way in, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our live content. Great to see you, partner. How's it going?
Oh, it's good. It's good to be here. I know it's going to be a good day. You want to know how I know?
Why?
Because we did it again. Without planning, we are color coordinated with our Ravens black on. Darkness falls. We're bringing it today. We're bringing it. Ravens content, Darkness Falls style, Ravens black. Let's go. It's going to be a good day.
Love it. There's not often the Henleys, the long sleeve Henleys. I think this is what they're referred to as. It's that time of year. You got a little bit of nip in the air this morning in Baltimore, and here we go. You pull it out of the closet that has not been touched in months. So we're off and running.
Very nice. Very nice. So we want to get into some Wired clips.
Yep.
That was produced by the team the other day. And by the way, I've got my warm beverage today to help with my throat. Everybody was telling me yesterday in the live chat, bring some tea and honey. I don't drink tea. So I looked it up. It sounds like hot chocolate's a good second option because it's warm and all of that. So let's see if I can keep it together today, but feeling good. Anyway, so Ravens Productions put out their weekly Wired episode. And I compiled actually 5, Bobby, really interesting moments. 4, and then, but kind of a 5th because there's something else caught on a mic. But really interesting moments. And the first one was 3rd and 1 late in the 4th quarter, Bobby, when the Ravens are trying to seal the game. All they got to do is convert the 1 yard. Game is over. They can milk the clock from there. So what I did so that we could have be compliant with copyright. So what I did is I've transcribed it here for you, but then I'm just going to play the audio so you can go along with the transcription as you listen to the audio. But this is Lamar and Derrick Henry. Ravens call a timeout on 3rd and 1. They're discussing what play they should go with to try to seal this win. Here we go.
The Ravens will be looking at a 3rd down and 1.
Hey, tell them to call. Just call. No, I'm going to keep it for you. Yeah. All right, this got to be flying upfield. Just be careful. You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right.
And the Ravens are just about at the knockout shot now. A 1st down will do it. It comes down to this. Fakes the handoff to Henry. Sprints to the left. Gets around the corner. Lamar with a 1st down. The Hayes in the barn.
All right, Bobby. So just to kind of recap it, Derrick Henry's coming up to Lamar and telling him what play he wants him to call. They bleep out the name of the play for obvious reasons. Nobody needs to know what those names are for the plays. Lamar's like, nah, I'm going to go with blank play call, but I'm going to keep it from you. Now, somebody says, let me have it. Right in between there, I think it was Henry, but I couldn't tell if it was Henry or Lamar. I think it was Henry. You said, let me have it. And Lamar just kind of looks at him, and Henry goes, all right, well, it's got to be, well, they're flying upfield, so just be careful. Lamar says something else that is inaudible, but whatever he says, he brings comfort to Henry, and Henry supports him. He's like, okay, all right. And then Lamar goes and converts. Bobby, I love this inside access that Ravens production have given us. I'm a little bit surprised that they gave us this deep to be in the moment where they're trying to decide what play to give. But I absolutely love it. Here's what's hilarious, Bobby. It's 3rd and 1. Just less than 2 minutes left. Everybody in the building, everybody watching the game is like, this is obvious, right? Give it to King Henry. This is what you bring him in for. It's 4th down. I mean, you need 1 yard. This is what you bring him in for. Derrick Henry wants the ball. And Tony Romo, I went back and rewatched the broadcast. Tony Romo, you know how he likes to call the plays before they happen, Bobby? Mm-hmm. He's like, all right here. It's Derrick Henry going up to the right. But instead it was Lamar who went to the left or whatever. It could have been the opposite. Flip that. Any other quarterback behind center, that's what you're doing. But Lamar Jackson is not any other quarterback. And to hear Henry want the ball, but then trust him like that, to show that trust. And more importantly, how do you not trust him when he delivers like he did? He delivered. Just such a fascinating moment between these two. And then if you watch it, Lamar faked the handoff to Derrick, sucking up the defense. And then Lamar had a clean grass route to the 1st down. So Lamar was right in what he did. What's funny is Derrick was also right in telling him to be careful, because remember, that was the play where they hit Lamar right before he goes out of bounds, and then all the Ravens bench went to go and stand up for Lamar. But I just love watching this once-in-a-life duo and the way they went back and forth and deciding what they should do, and it worked perfectly. And next time he very well could give it to Derrick, but he put on film that you better watch me too.
And you forget these guys have only played 6 games together. We talked all about the success that they've had, the cohesion, the pick your poison type of offense that they're both orchestrating. But these guys have only played 6 games together.
Yeah.
And yet there's this certain level of trust that I think Ravens Wire did a good job of uncovering. And of course, you had to kind of, like you said, at first glance, this is, by the way, I have not watched Ravens Wired, so maybe some of us, including me here on this live, this is the first time I'm hearing this audio. And I'm just struck by the layered relationship of trust that those two already have. Bodes well for the future, for sure.
Absolutely. So this doesn't come from Ravens Wired, Bobby, but this is kind of hilarious. I've forgotten his name, but we'll see it on the end. This is a TikTok clip of somebody reacting to the plays of the game. And this one is where Lamar Jackson finds Rashad Bateman over the middle. Again, his name will be at the end of the clip, and so we'll say it audibly at the end.
Did he just say got him? Did Lamar just say got him?
Good call, hat or higher. Here comes the pressure.
You bring the blitz. Great job, Justice Hill, picking this up. They're rushing 5. I mean, it's a blitz, but not really. It's just 1 extra rusher.
2nd and 9.
Do you hear it?
There we go, got him. One more time for the boys in the back.
Here comes the pressure. 2nd and 9.
Lamar! Lamar! Oh my God, I love Lamar Jackson. MV3, loading.
Time back there. 3rd and 11.
There we go, got him. Oh my gosh.
He said got him.
At Parallel
That was
Summit.
Lamar.
At Parallel Summit on TikTok. Now, here's what's funny. I think I heard there we go, got him also. I just don't know for sure. Is it for sure Lamar that's saying it?
Sure sounds like him. It's muffled. It is very muffled. And if you're not listening, thoroughly, you wouldn't even catch it. But that certainly sounds like Lamar.
I mean, it's hard to know for sure. Some people are saying it was him in the live chat. Some people are saying it wasn't. I don't know. But officially, I don't know. But to have fun, it's Lamar.
Both these two dudes are having a whole lot of fun. That's for sure. And think about it, too. Just the fact that it's been such a small sample size. And yet there's already like this innate familiarity between the two of them. We've often talked about that kind of connection between Lamar and Mark. And while it's a different relationship now, there is that similar dynamic in a relationship that's built off of trust. Well, there's been a lot more of a sample size of trust between, not to be confused with Truz, between Lamar and Mark. And yet we're seeing a 6-game sample size, that doing a great job of uncovering what they've already built in that short of a time. And of course, there's been a relationship. They're both South Floridians at heart. And they played a Pro Bowl together, I believe, right? They were Pro Bowl teammates, maybe more than once. Didn't they win like co-MVP of a Pro Bowl or something a few years ago? Anyway, this is real-time dynamics that we're watching right now unfold. And you got to think that the short-term future looks real bright if they're operating with this type of efficiency and trust after a 6-game sample size.
Yeah. Bobby, last week, Jonas Schaefer was the hero of the Lamar Jackson press conference because at the very last question, he asked Lamar for the details behind the Cincinnati grandma, right? And what was going on with the trash talking. Can Jonas be the hero again and ask him, was that Lamar? Lamar, was that you? Did you say to Bateman, there it is, got him before he actually caught the ball? Like, we need to know. People need to know. So hopefully, just to have fun, somebody will ask again. Okay, so moving on to the next clips. So Zay Flowers, as we know, was going off during the first half. And some of the best commentary was from the sideline from Brent Urban and Michael Pierce. These two are like the stars of every episode, Bobby, because they just sit on the sideline and they just have the funniest big man commentary. Like they're just sitting there like all of us on the couch watching up on the big screen, and look at the smile on Michael Pierce's face. Like he's just like, this is fun to watch. And so they're like yelling up at the screen, yeah, Zay, cook him. So they're on the sideline. Then who is that next to Nate Wiggins? I don't know.
That looks like Devontae. No, who is that?
Devontae doesn't dress. So,
well, is he dressed? Is this guy? Oh yeah, he is dressed.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Somebody in the comments let us know. But anyway, they're
Sanusi. Thanks, Justin. Sanusi
Kane. Yeah. Okay, Sanusi Kane. And so Sanusi's watching up on the big screen and watching Zay just cook him, and he's like, they can't guard him. He's like, him and Bait Boy, they are about to go crazy. I ain't gonna lie. So it's just so fun to watch the teammates watch Zay go off. So Zay does his thing, as we all know, and then towards the end of the half, he comes up to the running backs. So we've got Derrick Henry and Justice Hill. And he's doing his thing. And then this is what Zay says to the running backs.
As long as you let me spin. You see zero out there, he's like, oh yeah, come on. But y'all about to take over second half. They're like, hell no, this can't killing us. Hey, bro. Hey, every game somebody else cooks. Yeah. It's your turn.
All right. So he calls it. All of us at home are like, is Zay going to go for like 250? Is Zay going to go for like 300? Like, this is crazy. But then all of a sudden, he didn't have any catches in the second half. But Zay himself called it. Like, he said in there, he's like, they're going to get tired of me doing this. So he knew that adjustments were going to come. And if there were no other weapons, then sure, Lamar could have kept force feeding it. But if they're going to adjust their defense and start putting more resources on Zay knows what that means. It means it's Derrick Henry time. It's Justice Hill time. So he called it. He's like, y'all are about to take over in the second half.
And that was Justice there towards the end, being like, every game, somebody at difference cooking. That was Justice. Yeah. Yep. And man, I mean, was Zay ever cooking? Just to revisit week 6 for him, a career game. And it was just a first half, like you said, just a first half performance, 9 receptions, 132 receiving yards. He was the second highest graded wide receiver across the entire NFL slate in week 6, according to PFF's grading system, 90.2, second to just A.J. Brown, ahead of some other elite guys on this list like Cortland Sutton, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, to name a few. By the way, big Brent Urban, he might be doing a lot of commentary and a lot of cameos during Ravens Wired. He had a batted down ball on Jaden Daniels on Sunday. So good on you, Brent. the OG veteran on that defensive line. But this kind of brings us to part of what Zay Flowers had to say this morning, Sarah, on Good Morning Football, NFL Network show. And he and Peter Schrager were talking a little bit about this overlooked nature of Baltimore's wide receiver room. And now, as we know, this goes back years historically, given the lack of investment, the lack of true number one wide receivers.
Well, the lack of a cap investment. They've invested a lot draft-wise.
Draft capital-wise.
Yeah.
Certainly made a ton of investments since the Eric DeCosta era began as well.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning with Hollywood, and gosh, there's been a number of them since. Bateman, of course, Zay. Those are three of the several first rounders that Eric has taken a chance on. And so Peter Schrager talks a little bit about that concept and some of the noise out there of those who are overlooking this wide receiver room. And Zay responded.
And now you've got Likely, and you've got Kohler, and you've got Derrick Henry in the backfield, and Justice Hill. It's always like the receivers are like the last ones mentioned, and yet you guys are having quite a season as well. What's it like inside that room? Maybe not given the national love of other wide receivers and maybe wide receiver groups that you hear about from 31 other teams.
I mean, we passionate about it because, it's like a thing going around saying the Ravens don't have receivers and this and that, but y'all don't have Derrick Henry, so let me see what y'all do if y'all got Derrick Henry.
The ultimate
So we got to run the ball because we got him. We always had a good rushing game, so it's like you always got to balance it out. And if your rushing game good, you just got to keep going with what you winning you the games.
First of all, I know you like that screenshot that I took of that smile. Look at the pearly whites flashing on NFL Network this morning.
Just
but
brighten all of our days right now.
You heard him, though, right? He acknowledges it. He says they're passionate about it in terms of why they're overlooked, or at least the motivating part of why of how they're overlooked. And so, but then he goes in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait a second. Y'all don't have Derrick Henry, so let's see what y'all do about Derrick Henry when you got to face him. And he acknowledges that you got to balance it out if you're Todd Monken. And if your rushing game's good, you just got to keep going with what's winning you games. So pretty much the farthest thing from diva, which is a label that's often attached to the wide receiver position, Sarah, across the NFL. And while, of course, we all want Zay to have one of those signature historical games selfishly for his sake and for maybe past criticisms about the wide receiver room to put those to bed, at least in the here and now, they're winning games. And it seems like internally, the fact that they're winning games in this balanced approach, it's understood. And that's a collective thought throughout the offense with how many mouths that need to be fed.
Yeah, it's funny because like we were talking about it. I listened to the interview on Double Time. I'm like running around and like you were like, I feel like Zay kind of put a message out where he kind of put like the league on notice, right? When it sends one of those message type things. My takeaway is that like I was surprised by what he said because of what, to your point, diva and wide receiver are almost always synonymous. And so I thought they were like teeing him off to be able to be like, yeah, well, the league needs to recognize, right? Like, look what I just did. Look at where I am. Even with a phenomenal number one rushing attack, I'm right outside the top 10. I'm right. So I thought he was going to do what receivers or most players everywhere do, which is like, yeah, we want to go out and prove them wrong. We know what we can do, and they're gonna see it sooner and later. Instead, he says, yeah, people talk down on us, and while we're passionate about it, we got Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Like he was just like, Bobby, his personality is perfect for what the Ravens are structured to do. I mean, Hollywood Brown wanted out, and that could have been mostly, a function of Greg Roman, right? Like that it wasn't just the rushing attack, but it was also, there was like no passing concepts, that you've got people like, Steve Smith cooking them, saying that these are like my elementary school son could put together better pass concepts. So maybe it was a combination of the two. But you could not ask for a better personality or a better attitude when you are structured to dominate. And I mean in historic ways, dominate from a rushing attack. And then you've got these 2 tight ends, and now Charlie Kolar's, coming alive. And so, like, people are saying, well, this might be the best tight end room in all of the NFL. Okay, it's the best rushing attack in all the NFL. So you'd think that Zay would be like, hey, we're something too. But instead he's like, yeah, people play us down, but we got Derrick Henry. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Of course he has pride. We know he has pride. I mean, look at the picture. Look at the picture we have flashed up on the screen. This man has so much passion and love for football and for his craft and all of that. And so it's like Zay is not the type to be like, I want traded out of here so that I can be featured even more. Like, he just is embracing what's going on in Baltimore. And that is exactly what this team needs. And you have to absolutely love it as a Ravens fan.
He sees the bigger picture. He's coming off a 1,000-yard rookie season. I think he's bound for another one, even if it isn't a pass-first offense. He's clearly the number one guy in Baltimore. He is a willing blocker when asked. He's a selfless player. We know he's shifty and explosive. The screen game's been really kind to him in Todd Monken's system so far this year. So sky's the limit for number 4. And to your point, it's kind of a perfect puzzle piece, the type of player he's become in year 2 in the NFL. Let's get to some super chats before some more takeaways from Ravens Wire. Juju Bean says, did you guys see Lamar smiling super hard after he knew he got that first down? That was such a cool moment. And that was from your first takeaway there. Of course, we had audio only, but if you go back and watch the Ravens Wired clip itself on YouTube and across their platforms, I'm sure you'll be able to find that.
Was that smile before or after he got knocked by the Commanders and then the little tussle ensued?
Oh yeah. Yeah. At the end there.
Yeah. Well, so maybe he can answer that. Was that before he got hit, or was it like while he's smiling, he sees the first down marker? I don't know.
Just exchanging pleasantries
there
before,
right now, actually.
Before heading south. Lil X Nation says LJ and the King, Shaq and Kobe vibes. 2 generational talents on the same team with the will to win. It still feels unreal. Let's go Flock Nation. I like the way you described that, Lil. And Isaiah says, love the darkness fall vibes. We play different. And we're rolling right now. See this? We got our darkness vibes right now. And Rico from BMO. Could have been Henry. He was mic'd up in terms of saying who said got him. We may never know. Until press conferences later this afternoon.
Maybe somebody will ask. We don't know.
What else you got?
All right. So the next moment was when, I want to save that one for last. Here we go. I want to do this one first. Ardarius Washington. Jaden Daniels threw him a gift of a pick. And as you can see from the photo screen grab up on the screen, he tried to catch it with his face mask, which, Bobby, I'm no corner, but I don't think that's the correct technique. And I've kind of felt bad for him, but this is the way it is. And it's just the way it is in NFL benches and locker rooms. But his coaches were kind of cooking him a little bit. So Chris Hewitt was the first one to meet him when he came back to the sideline. Because remember, they ended up having to punt, and the punt went all the way down inside the 5. Whereas if he had intercepted it, he probably would have put the Ravens, I don't know, at least at the 30, maybe the 40. He could have had some room to run. So here's Chris Hewitt and John Harbaugh kind of messing with him.
Daniels takes the snap. He's under pressure. Scrambling to the right. Has to throw it downfield. It is. Oh, it's a drop.
Oh, my goodness.
It hit Ardarius Washington in the face.
That's just a bad place for the ball to hit you, I guess, in the face.
Hey, bro. I was falling. You was like panic. I was falling. No, you panicked. No, I was trying to get over with you, man. Because I was going over the top.
Jaden Daniels under pressure had his worst throw of the day. It was a punt coming into Ardarius Washington, and for some reason he led with his face mask instead of his hand.
Yeah, so I was going to help Marlo on the he got an over. The 3 was vertical, so when I came back, I was stumbling already. Oh, I didn't think I could have done it. I really, I think you could have too. I think you could have too.
Ravens in.
They're going to make sure you remember that, Ardarius. You're muted there, partner.
Yeah. No, John Harbaugh was like, I think I could have caught that. And Ardarius is like, I think so too. I think you could have. But basically what he was saying, no, I wasn't panicking. No, I don't have that terrible of hands. He said that he was trying to go over the top to help Marlo because they went 3 vertical, he says. And then when I came back, he was already stumbling. Like he had already been kind of tripped up a little bit. and that's why his face mask went first. So,
well, Nate Wiggins had to catch that same type of smoke.
Well, but this one, that's true. But on this one, they were not cooking him. I loved this moment. This might have been my favorite outside of that first one. Nate Wiggins, for real, thought he had a pass breakup to kind of seal the win. Remember, he jogged all the way into the end zone and was like,
"Oh, do I remember?"
Crowd. He was looking at the crowd like this, and he's like, "Wait, why aren't they screaming?" And then he turns around and he's like, "Oh, there's the yellow flag." So he was pretty, down about it. I mean, not terribly down, but he wasn't happy. And Kyle Hamilton, All-Pro Kyle Hamilton, coaches him up.
4th and 12. Jaden Daniels throwing deep, near side. Ravens 30. It is incomplete, but a flag is down. Interference on Nate Wiggins. And with 2:48 left to play, it is now a 1-score Ravens lead.
You already know how it's going to be. You're in good position, bro. Just get your head around. That's all I got to work better at getting my head around. Yeah, that's it, bro. You're in the hip every time. It's just it's taking so long to get there that, you bound to damn near touch him. So, once his eyes go up and it's a fade, get your eyes around. Go pick that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool moment.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Look at the imagery though. Like when Nate Wiggins has his head down, thought he made the defensive play of the game, right?
Yep.
And then
there's Zach right on top of him too.
Yep, there's Zach right there, and Kyle's like sincere, like he's not condescending.
No,
he's not like, look at me, you know what I mean? He's like, bro, you're right there. He's like, you're in the hip pocket every single time, and I just love the detail of it. He's like, it's going to take forever to get there, so at some point you're going to accidentally touch him. So if you just turn your head around, you're going to protect yourself, and not only protect yourself but pick it. So, and I love that Nate took it because he's like, yeah, that's what I got to get better at. I got to keep working at getting my head around. And my guess is somebody has said that once or twice to Brendan Stevens too. But I loved that moment, Bobby.
Hard to believe that Kyle, so wise beyond his years, he's not even 24 years old yet. He'll turn 24 in March. This guy's 23, and he's respected universally, not just in that building, but outside as well. Hey, let me correct myself, too, that Zay Flowers was not a 1,000-yard receiver last year. That was Hollywood's last year in Baltimore. And so Zay went for 858 in his rookie season. But he is bound for one north of 1,000 this year for sure. So thank you, live chat, for pointing that out.
Good correction there. Just two other – I'm not going to play audio, but I thought this was cool. Steve Bisciotti came up to Justice Hill before the game. He said, they're scared of you now. How do you feel about that?
Good, Steve. What a beast. Look right off the yacht. Look at him.
Look at him. He's just permanently, I mean, he works hard, obviously, but I mean, you don't get to where you are without being smart and working hard, but he just permanently looks like he's on vacation for sure.
He's a beast.
And then one other moment that I thought was really cool. Josh Jones out of nowhere. Well, it was like after the Ravens, I think it was one of their 93-yard drives. Josh Jones, who has been serving as the backup tackle. And my theory is that the Ravens are so confident in him that's why they're letting McCary stay at guard rather than keeping him as the super sub. So like out of nowhere, he's like, hey, gets Ronnie's attention. He goes, want to know something? And Ronnie's like, what? He's like, you a dog. You a dog.
Yep.
I was like, that's cool that he's watching Ronnie and he knows what he's doing out there. And we've talked about this before. Couldn't be happier for Ronnie Stanley and the bounce back season that he's had. And I've said it before, you're not going to get it on a national level, but when the local media do their awards, they got to give comeback person of the year to Ronnie Stanley.
Tight group. Sure is a tight group.
Yeah.
What kind of receipts you got on First Take?
Oh my gosh.
What you got for us?
Come on now. Okay. First Take. I'm like, why am I watching this? There's so much content out there. Do I have time to listen to this segment? So I listened to it. The segment is asking the panel, is it Super Bowl or bust for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets? Real quick, what's your answer, Bobby?
Is it Super Bowl or bust for Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets? The answer is unquestionably yes.
Unquestionably yes. I agree with you. Unquestionably. Yep. Okay. And most of the panel agrees. Listen, this is Rodgers' last year in his contract there, correct? Right? Pretty sure it is.
Rodgers' future is.
He's 40 years old. I don't know if they're going to be able to re-sign Davante Adams. They are in the hole because Raiders didn't take on any of that money. Jets took it all. It is Super Bowl or bust. They fired their head coach. They bring in Davante Adams. They're doing everything. This is it, okay? One, Stephen A. Smith says it's not. But then listen to what he said. Caught red-handed.
Anybody who runs into and ultimately loses to Patrick Mahomes has a pass.
Dude, I can't believe you. I cannot believe I just heard you say that.
You just said, except for actually, I would debate Lamar Jackson. I would debate Lamar Jackson. You going up against the dude. Well, Aaron Rodgers ain't going to play defense. You understand what I'm saying? If Patrick Mahomes goes up against the Jets defense that's supposed to be elite and he picks them apart, he's Patrick Mahomes. And if that's the guy that knocks you off, it's going to be real hard to look at Aaron Rodgers and go like this. Man, you just didn't get it done. Because of Patrick Mahomes. Now, if there's anybody else, hell with all that. But Patrick Mahomes is the one caveat, no matter how much I hate saying it.
I've never been more disappointed in you in my life.
Really?
Than in that little 90-second riff.
Do not lie to the Americans.
Never.
Never disappointed. You guys never disappointed in me.
You just did.
Don't do that.
Just did.
Don't do that.
90 seconds of you not. Okay. Single camera. America.
I'm consistent.
Hold this man to the fire. He just said, if you run into Patrick Mahomes and lose, it's okay. So Lamar Jackson, don't let him come at you.
I didn't say Lamar Jackson.
Don't let him come at you.
Josh Allen. I didn't say Lamar
Josh Allen, don't let him come. You just said
Joe Burrow.
You get a pass.
You're right about Josh Allen. You're right.
So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it if Josh Allen and the Bills or Lamar Jackson and Ravens lose to Patrick Mahomes. And I don't want anybody at this seat or at this table to blame the quarterback and say you didn't get it done.
Bobby, here a couple things on this. First of all, Ravens fans have always felt like there's been a double standard for Lamar Jackson. Okay. Well, this just confirms it, at least in Stephen A. Smith. I don't know that all analysts have a double standard, but he just put it out there. It is a double standard. Aaron Rodgers gets a pass. Lamar Jackson does not. And how many times he had the audacity to say, well, Aaron Rodgers doesn't play defense. So if their defense gives up, 30 some odd points for Mahomes, that's not his fault. Oh, that's true. But how come when it's Lamar, it's like, well, Lamar should have made another play. Well, Lamar's being paid. Well, and here's the other thing, Bobby. He and Shannon Sharp, one of the reasons why they say they go hard on Lamar is because he's an MVP winner. How many MVPs does
multiple
Aaron Rodgers have?
Multiple.
He's definitely got at least 2. He might have 3. What? Why does this multiple MVP winner have a different standard from Lamar? And he just admitted to it, but he never said why. Oh. But we will hold on to this one. That's for sure.
Remember earlier on, I was like, I can't say red-handed until I watch it for the first time.
No, Rodgers has 4.
Yeah, he's got 4 MVPs. But remember earlier on, I was like, Sarah, I can't say red-handed because I haven't watched it yet. Cash that in. That is caught red-handed, epitomized. And by the way, Aaron, just one note from earlier on, he's got 1 more year left in New York.
After this, okay.
1 more year after this. But that does not change in any way a 40-year-old quarterback whose head coach was just canned, whose offensive coordinator was just demoted, who he brought over from Green Bay, by the way, and made that happen, who also just brought in Davante Adams, and whose future is very, very uncertain, and who last year, 4 plays in, had his entire year taken away from him. Yeah, it is Super Bowl or bust in New York, especially given their recent history, just track record-wise, win-loss-wise in Jets land. They are starving for something up there. They got a big one coming up Sunday night, by the way, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it sure looks like Russell Wilson's going to be starting under center.
That's going to be crazy. Russell Wilson, Davante Adams reunited with Aaron. That'll be fun. What did you say? That's a Thursday night game?
Sunday night coming up this weekend. Night. It's going to be that place is going to be rocking. Now, this whole double standard thing getting caught red-handed. That's why I think it underscores when Kyle Van Noy is providing consistent veteran leadership that we've shared through this new podcast that he's doing with Gerald McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives so much more credence to what they have going on internally because of noise like that. This double standard, this goalpost moving, right? This inconsistent. He calls himself consistent.
That was the most hilarious line of it all. I'm consistent.
This inconsistent coverage of the way in which some in the national sports media landscape, like Stephen A., treat Lamar Jackson. It just further emphasizes why KVN is such a true source of veteran leadership. And I think it's also a microcosm of the way in which Lamar is viewed internally and the way they ride with him. Listen to this from Yahoo Sports, KVN.
At an MVP level, I've been so impressed with him, just, not as just a teammate, but as a fan watching too. Like, he's one-on-one, man. It is so awesome to be on his team and just watching from afar of what he's doing. I mean, everybody's going to talk about him. And when you talk about him, you're talking about all of us, right? He represents the whole team. And, we take that to heart and we want to just continue to prove he's right. And he's been right since day one when he was drafted and everybody was hating on him, saying he should play receiver or running back. Like, nah, he's a quarterback and he's going to continue to show you each and every week. Keep dotting them up on the field and keep running the rock, being that dual threat quarterback that is changing the game. He's changing the game.
Standing 10 toes down, Sarah. Quote, when you talk about him, you're talking about all of us. He represents the whole team. We take that to heart. We want to continue to prove he's right. He's been right since day one. Great conversation there between Kyle and Gerald. Another note on top of that is that Kyle looked inward a little bit and vowed this week, because they have an extra day, right? Because they're playing on Monday Night Football. And I'll have the exact quote, actually, that of what he said specifically about looking at his play, doing some self-evaluation. He vows to do, quote, a lot of research this week and going forward, because the last couple of weeks he's been double-teamed and or chipped often. He's got six sacks through 6 games. That's 4th best in the league, but it's been a quiet couple of weeks since being named the AFC Defensive Player of the Month in September. So good stuff there from KVN across the board.
Absolutely. And he, when he says you mess with Lamar, you kind of mess with all of us. Like, we saw that again. We saw that against the Commanders when they hit him close to out of bounds. Like, it was like, you hit him, you hit all of us, and you're going to deal with all of us. And I love the way they all corral around their quarterback.
Back to First Take we go once more.
Yeah, you got this one though, right?
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, so Chris Russo, a.k.a. Mad Dog, was appearing on First Take, and we all remember, and just in case you don't, I actually have this ready to go in my folder here, because Tony Romo
you got that from back in the, okay, cool.
Just in case you guys weren't listening on Sunday, here's what Tony Romo, and maybe you were at the game, so you didn't hear the broadcast. Here's what Tony Romo had to say about John Harbaugh.
One of the best coaches. I mean, I think
Hall of Fame.
No question. I mean, he's a top 10 all time for me. I think he's one of the rare coaches who knows all 3 phases: special teams, defense, offense, and he just has a great pulse. That's why this team's in it every year. And then when you give him some of the guys he has now, they can win the Super Bowl.
Enter Chris Russo in response to that, Sarah.
I must have took him out to dinner on Friday night. During the game, he says, I swear to God, I couldn't believe it, that John Harbaugh is one of the top 10 coaches, without a doubt, in the history of pro football. What? In there, have you heard of Don Shula? Have you heard of Chuck Noll? Have you heard of Andy Reid? Have you heard of Bill Belichick? Have you heard of Weeb Eubank? Have you heard of Vince Lombardi? Have you heard of Paul Brown? Have you heard of Bill Walsh, Bill Parcells, Joe Gibbs? You want me to continue, please? How does anybody, he's getting $17 million a year at Northern Illinois. Did he read a football book for crying out loud? Did he ever watch Cosell do a Monday night game with Shula coaching against Pittsburgh? I mean, how in the world can you go on TV and ruin my Sunday afternoon and not put even Saturday's a top 10 Hall of Fame football coach? How in the world? I could not believe it. I said, Tony, and Jim's too polite, Nance. He didn't correct him. Tony, come back to me, please. I understand that you are a big quarterback in the NFL. I mean, Shane Gailey's better than John Harbaugh for crying out loud. That is number one.
You know, there's a couple things going on here. One,
Right.
especially from my broadcasting background, you got to appreciate the entertainment value and the legendary status of Chris Russo. This guy,
Yep.
Mad Dog, is a legend of legends in our industry. And so there is an entertainment value to that segment that I appreciate. Maybe some of you on the other end are like, yeah, right, he's talking about my guy like that. No chance, right? Not my head coach. But so there's that element, but then we also have some numbers to back up what John has done. He's the second longest tenured head coach. And I'll just say this, Sarah, having dug into this a little bit when that clip surfaced, I think if John wins a second Super Bowl with a different team, I know it's the same team, but a different quarterback, I mean, it's been over 10 years since his first, then I think you could really have that conversation about top 10. But right now, I think he's on the outside looking in based on some of the numbers that we're about to look at right now.
Yeah, so I think first of all, before I get into that, just real quick, there's a term that is escaping me right now, but there's a term that describes the effect of when two people are generally in agreement, but then you say one thing that somebody kind of disagrees on, like you're almost this close to each other in agreement, and somebody says something that actually makes you a little bit more extreme, and then so the other person backs up even more, and before you know it, the gulf is wide. And so I actually see that in marriages a lot, right? Where like sometimes that'll like lead to divorce, where like at one point you were cool and then somehow you both just kept taking a step back or whatever. So it's like it was like fun. It was simultaneously funny to watch that because of Chris or Mad Dog, but also like they're all laughing almost at Harbaugh's expense because Tony Romo said something so extreme that it was like, well, now you're making John a laughing stock by going that extreme. Like, yes, we all have our complaints and time management and all that kind of stuff, but he for sure is like a top 5 coach today, maybe top 3, depending who you're talking to.
In today's game,
in today's game, not all time,
actively,
like,
right.
And depending who you are, like, I just don't think you can put him above Andy Reid, but some people may have John as number 2. Okay. So, but it's all debatable. So if you look at like what he's accomplished, he's right on the cusp of a Hall of Fame. Like they're saying no question Hall of Fame for sure. If he gets a second Super Bowl, then he'll be a lock for the Hall of Fame. But I pulled this slide up here because I looked at this. The graphic to the left is a little bit old, but John has 176 victories.
Yeah.
This graphic is showing the coaches with the most victories. His 176 makes it all the way to that third line there, right ahead of Jeff Fisher and right behind Chuck Knox. And he's not going to be.
Yeah.
No, Chuck Knox. Oh, is that you said? Oh, yeah, you're right. My bad. Chuck Knoll. Yeah. You look at me trying to dig in there. No, Chuck Knoll's up above at 193. I'm talking about Chuck Knox at 186, number 11. You see it?
Chuck Knox at 11. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. Chuck Knoll is number 9.
Yep.
But and let's see what happens. But we read from Jeff Zrebeck. Remember last week, all the AFC North writers at The Athletic had to talk about the temperature of each coach's seat. And Jeff talked about how it's getting warmer within the fan base, but at the end of the day, it's all Steve Bisciotti, and he seems pretty good with Steve Bisciotti. So I mean, he's up there with some of the all-time winningest coaches with his 176.
Mm-hmm.
And so then if you look at this one, here's the most Super Bowl wins by head coaches. So Bill Belichick, easily number 1, Chuck Noll, number 4, Bill Walsh, number 3, Bill Walsh, Joe Gibbs, and Andy Reid all have 3. And then if you look over to the right, These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's a top 14 with multiple Super Bowls. If John Harbaugh gets a second one, then he's right there in the top 15 in terms of Super Bowls. And then you would debate, could he make the top 10? So right now, he's not top 10. But if he were to win a Super Bowl, Bobby, he's right there in the discussion. I wouldn't put him top 5, but one could debate about top 10, but he would have to win a second Super Bowl first.
Yep.
So I think Tony Romo's premature, and that was a funny clip. And I know fans are, frustrated with him. I promise you, a lot of these coaches in this top 15, their fans got mad at him for crazy stuff too. We're just not in the weeds over there. So he's not top 10 right now. If he wins another Super Bowl, then we can have that conversation.
If they get one this year, of course, he's going to get extended.
Yeah.
And then it's all of a sudden, are they chasing after 3 now? Lamar wants multiple. So
yeah. And one other point, because some people will say Lamar saved John's job, and there might be some truth to that. He had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, but I promise you, all these coaches that I just flashed up right here, they got stars too. I mean, Bill Belichick with Tom Brady, Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid is great. I don't want to downplay him, but he didn't win Super Bowls before in Philadelphia, right? Like all these guys had. All these guys, I mean, Bill Walsh, are you kidding me? Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jerry Rice. I mean, all these coaches aren't doing it without players. The players are what make this game go. So you could say, well, he has Lamar and he has Ray and he had Ed. Well, that's all true. But any of these top 15 guys had stars too.
If he gets a couple with Lamar, boy, we're going to be revisiting this conversation. That's for sure. Even if he gets one. With Lamar, this conversation will be revisited. But the big picture here is, and I saw somebody comment on the live chat, and I thought that this was wise. Tony's just giving John love, right? Like he kind of said that off the cuff, probably not truly
looking
about
at the list in front
names.
Of him, right?
Yeah. When really just use that opportunity to commend John by what he's done in Baltimore over the years, which again, he is the second longest tenured head coach in this league, just behind Mike Tomlin, who came to Pittsburgh the year before John arrived in Baltimore. Bunch of quick hits.
Yes, please. This first quick hit, I just wanted to revisit something. So that Logan Pierce, what's that?
Logan Paulson.
Yeah, Logan Paulson. Thank you. That clip we shared yesterday, I also put it on Twitter, and it got some traction. I mean, Mina Kimes, love her. She retweeted it. Mike Gold Jr., lots of people retweeted it. It kind of hit up into the national ranks. And so I just wanted to say one thing. There are a lot of people who are accusing Paulson of assuming that Lamar Jackson was dumb. I don't know Paulson. I didn't know him before I listened to this clip. He can defend himself and whatnot. I just want to put this out there. If somebody didn't know that Lamar had this incredible ability that Paulson is saying on the level of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning to identify coverages and check into a favorable play. Just want to throw out there could be another reason besides they thought Lamar was dumb. And it's a pretty obvious reason. In those first years with Greg Roman did not give him this freedom. There was no checking. I should say very little checking. He just did not have the freedom that he had. One of the biggest goals that Todd Monken had when he came in was to empower Lamar Jackson. Okay. So we know last year was his first year in this system where he was given that freedom. It was not given to him prior to Todd Monken. On top of that, I want to throw in one more thing. It even expanded more after last year. I want to revisit this ESPN article from Jamison Hensley, and he's correct because I remember us kind of covering it. But he wrote this in June 18th when we were going through OTAs and all that, and they were asking about the next level with Lamar Jackson. So he said, shortly after the Ravens 17-10 loss in the AFC Championship game, Coach John Harbaugh sat down with quarterback Lamar Jackson and got his thoughts on how to take the offense to the next level. Jackson's suggestion? Expanding the audibles at the line of scrimmage. Jackson says, from watching film and getting into games, teams changing things on us, we just want to add extra layers to all of our calls. Jameson goes on to write, last year, Jackson spoke about how offensive coordinator Todd Monken gave him the, quote, keys to the offense. This offseason, the Ravens are increasing his freedom at the line of scrimmage by challenging him to change plays, protections, and even his cadence before the ball is snapped. The Ravens were criticized for handing the ball off to the running backs, Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, 6 times against the NFL's 18th ranked run defense. Harbaugh explained that Jackson didn't have the right run plays to switch to at the line, considering how Kansas City lined up. The goal throughout this offseason is no matter what the look the defense presents, Jackson can get the Ravens into the right play. So it's very possible that Logan or many other people who didn't know that Lamar could do this, maybe he did it in college, but in the NFL, to this extent, it has not been implemented for Lamar. He hasn't even been given the opportunity until this year. So if people hadn't seen it, they wouldn't have known. And on top of that, if this is really, I mean, it's the second year of doing it, but they expanded it to already just in his second year of doing it to be at the level of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. How would anybody know that? Because those guys were some of the best to do it. So I just wanted to put out an alternate thought. Yes, maybe some people, and they're definitely in my mentions, they exist. People just say the dumbest things and maybe acted like Lamar was dumb. Okay, there's some of those. But for somebody like Logan, who didn't know, this is another possibility. He just hasn't seen it because none of us have seen it because Lamar hasn't had this type of opportunity before. So I just wanted to put that out there.
That's great context from this offseason. And it's a shame, right, that has to be followed up on in a sense, because Logan's breakdown was so sensical, like so
good,
so just thought out and thorough. And again, the sideline view is what we built yesterday's show around. And he just did a great job of, in layman's terms, explaining why Lamar was able to pick apart Washington's defense and all the checks and likening it to some of the best in the game that football's ever seen. The Bradys and the Mannings when it comes to that cadence and that study at the line of scrimmage. So it is a shame that we had to go in that direction, but I love that context that you provided from this past offseason. And here he is, year 2 with Todd Monken. He is one of the 3 highest graded AFC quarterbacks so far this season, according to PFF's metrics, with an 83.9 overall score. Joe Burrow leading the way at 86.6, and CJ Stroud, no sophomore slump for him, 80.8. The Ravens are going to see the Texans, by the way, on Christmas afternoon. What a brutal friggin' schedule that is. I keep thinking about that. When the chill hits the air, now that it is fall, you start to kind of turn a page, check in with your family. What are our plans? Who's going to be where for Thanksgiving and Christmas, especially when you have siblings across the country like I do. And now it's like, oh, wait a second. That reminder, there's a 3:00 start.
I know.
On Christmas Day. Are you kidding?
Brutal. I know. At least last year it was like 8:00 where you could comfortably finish things up,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Just a reminder, since we're about to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the last time the Ravens went to Tampa Bay, I'm so glad this is not where we are right now. Remember, a fan had brought a sign that said Ravens number 8, pay him now. Ravens, pay him now. So I don't know if they threw it down there or if it fell down there, but Lamar picked it up as he's running off and went to hand it back. And then we got this iconic photo now. Oh, I'm so glad he got paid. I'm glad he's worth his money, Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp. We're earning every single penny. And I'm so glad that's behind us, Bobby. But
this is what an iconic photo, even though he was just giving it back, right? He was just giving it back to somebody. It looks as if he's like Lion King type thing, right? Holding this thing up in the air, the angle of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
saying
4:30.
He for sure fell. They're saying that he picked it up. It fell.
Yeah, he was just giving it back. 4:30 kickoff, by the way, on Christmas, not 3:00. Just to be clear on that. Other quick hits. Jonas Schaefer did a deep dive, and I mean a deep dive, into every single career run for Derrick Henry, which is 2,100 plus and counting. And what he did was he wanted to look at every single stiff arm and divvy it up in terms of which team has been the victim the most.
Bobby, Jonas is insane. in the nicest, in like the most positive way possible. He went back and watched 2,149 career runs to study his stiff arms. When I tell you, I went and read his article. We're not going to go through it all. When I tell you the things he came out with, he's like 57.6 for right-handed. Then he looked at how many yards he got per carry when he stiff armed versus when he didn't. Okay, he was without a stiff arm, he averaged 4.1 yards per attempt. With a stiff arm, where did it go? 13.9. 9-yard difference. I mean, he went so deep, but this was my favorite thing. He put out on Twitter this little graphic, kind of video graphic of the teams that have been mostly stiff-armed by Derrick Henry. Luckily, the Ravens are towards the bottom, but rip Jags. Watch this. Okay, so first is the Chiefs with 2. Everybody's got like 2. Oh, here comes the Jags. Oh, they're up to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Look at this chart.
Look at it go. The Colts are moving up. The Texans are moving up. Oh, they're division opponents.
Yeah, Ravens aren't even on this list yet.
Oh, there they are. They got one there.
Oh,
there's one. Ravens are at the
been
bottom,
Earl,
though.
Right? That was definitely Earl.
Oh, man. When he like spun Earl around, there were 2 for the Ravens. So that's the total. 158 stiff arms. Jonas watched over 2,100 runs, found 158 stiff arms, broke it down by team, broke it down by yards, broke it down by right hand versus left hand. Like insane journalism right there. Woo!
So who do we think outside of Earl was the other victim?
Oh, I don't know.
Any guesses in the live chat? I don't know the answer to
I'm
it.
trying to remember that. All I remember is him just running over a stiff arm, no stiff arm in the 2019 kind of 2020.
Oh man, or maybe Sarah, maybe just maybe he counted Earl as 2. Because that was a tough scene.
I hear what you're saying. Then it's funny. But when I saw him put it up throughout the games, there was one for the Ravens forever, and then way later there was another one. So it's definitely different games. One could have been early.
You could have convinced me for that one to have been accounted for 2. Unfortunately, sorry, Earl. He's catching a bunch of strays. He'll continue to around these parts. But roster news: Salah Amuvaila-Ulu,
well done,
friend of the show. Second year tackle out of Oregon that the Ravens picked in last year's draft. He was waived earlier in the week. He was not claimed on waivers yesterday. Brian McFarland on top of this. He is now a free agent, free to sign with any team. And the Ravens practice squad is now full. We'll get to those 2 signings in just a bit. But it'll be interesting in Brian's estimation here if they make room for him on the practice squad or just move on. He really hasn't had much of a role at all. And really is a reserve player and was seen as such for a while now.
Such a change for when he first was like, oh, John's like, oh, I'm really impressed. And then he's getting all those first team snaps in practice. I don't remember if it was training camp or OTAs, but it fell off from there.
Yeah, it did.
I haven't seen him since.
Good dude. We enjoyed talking to him. Very shy, very quiet. But hopefully he lands on his feet. By the way, those 2 corresponding moves, Christian Welch and Anthony Kendall, a linebacker and corner respectively, have been signed to the practice squad. So there are no longer.
Welch is a special teamer. What about the other one?
Yep, a corner. Yep, corner who spent last year in Tennessee, I want to say, Anthony Kendall. So
can he play special teams?
He was just primarily a special teamer last year. He played 16 games in most.
All right, they're beefing up there.
Yeah. So, speaking of beef.
Nice transition.
Number 98, baby. Travis Jones having a career year in season number 3 out of UConn. Look at what he's done the last couple weeks. He's an 84.8 PFF graded D lineman. That is 3rd league wide in terms of interior defensive line. He's got 4 run stops. That's tied for 6th at that position. Sarah, he's starting to morph. He's coming off his first career sack too.
I need it. I need it in my life.
Right?
Yeah.
Whenever I see 98 too, I think, man, he's making big baby. Big baby, Brandon Williams, very proud. Yes, he is.
All right.
I
What,
brought this in too. Yeah, I brought
yeah.
this in just because he was in for a visit. Jamal Adams was in the offseason. I think it was towards the end of the summer, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe midsummer. But anyway, he landed with Tennessee. He's only played like 20 snaps this season, but Jamal Adams has been released by Tennessee. He is healthy and looking forward to his next opportunity. Adam Schefter tweeted this out. He's a former Pro Bowler. The Ravens at least had preliminary interest in him, Sarah, at some point, enough to bring him into the building. Obviously, they've had their fair share of concerns on the back end of their secondary. I don't know if this would help, but just wanted to throw it out there as food for thought.
Well, obviously he's been a safety, but people have talked about, well, should he be more like linebacker, kind of a coverage linebacker? I mean, can he still cover across the middle?
I don't know.
Because the Ravens could use that, but I do not predict that the Ravens will bring him in. That's not my prediction, unless he can cover. But it's not my prediction, unless he can cover.
A few weeks out to the deadline. A few weeks out to the trade deadline.
No, but for real, don't you think before you bring in him, you would like give some of your rookies, Sanusi Kane or Bo Braid, a chance? I don't know.
Yeah, Kane, Washington, Tampa.
Sebastian, he can't cover.
Gerald Jackson, 1999, an orange slide for Sarah.
Woo!
Appreciate you, Gerald, for the super chat donation. Gerald writes, Lamar has been this type of QB, but they were hell-bent on him running the ball. I'm an ACC fan, so I used to watch Lamar. He's been capable. They just didn't believe in it then. The offensive lulls forced their hand. Truth bearer, brilliant reference, Sarah. Lamar has taken his game.
Read that again. Wait, read that first line again.
Well, it was. I love the fact that you pulled that out of the bag. Brilliant reference, Sarah.
And that came from Truth, by the way.
He wanted a more expansive audible package. That's what he wanted coming off the AFC title loss. Brilliant reference, Sarah. Lamar has taken his game to another level this year at the line of scrimmage. Rave Kingdom. Hollywood made it clear his issue wasn't the players.
Right.
His issue with the front office. His issue was with the front office. John had control of the office. This year, John is actually letting the offensive coordinator control it. Zay would hate Greg's offense.
Probably.
And I think we are fully caught up.
And the offensive coordinator that's controlling it is cooking.
Yes, he is. So much so.
Pushing all the right buttons.
You know he's going to be getting interest in the head coaching vacancy world at some point.
Whatever, Bobby.
Dr. F and Major Offense, we appreciate you for being a part of the Vault Patreon community. Thank you so much for the investment into us. We appreciate you guys. And if you're interested in doing the same this football season, you can literally sign up and support the Vault for as little as $1.99 by visiting patreon.com/RavensVault podcast, or you can go up one level tier like Dr. and Major are for monthly shout outs. Partner, great stuff. Jam-packed one.
It was a great show. We said it was going to be a show. We talked it into existence. It's a great time today. I enjoyed speaking with you. I enjoyed interacting with the live chat. It was a good day.
Glad you
I didn't have any major coughing fits.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Glad you're bounced back. Everybody's bounced back a little bit here. By the way, are you hearing the construction that just started outside?
Hold on. Be quiet for a second. I hear nothing.
Good.
Yeah.
It means the equipment's doing its job, but looks like Canton is under construction outside of me. So with that, we have one more show this week. We're trying to find a Buccaneers reporter to come on the show. Actually, shout out David Andrade, our guy, Spanish reporter.
What did he do?
For the Ravens. He was trying to give us a former Buccaneers kicker who is now the color analyst for their Spanish radio network to come on our show. And he totally unprompted reached out to me on Instagram. And I know he watches us all the time. David Andrade is a great dude. We ran into him
he really is.
in Vegas working on Radio Row. And he is a great follow for Ravens fans. He gets great access. Lamar reposts him on Instagram all the time. And David, just wanted to shout you out for just being willing to reach out and try and
What is this, Bobby? I had to pull it up. What is this? Tell
boy.
Sarah about your dog park story from yesterday. What is this?
Should we end with a little dating fun?
Oh, this was dating. Yes.
Oh boy, here we
Oh,
go.
let me get in here for this.
And before we do, I wanted to get one more shout out in here, even though it's not a super chat. I just thought this was cool because whenever we find of subscribers and our listener audience outside of Baltimore, I always find it to be really cool. But Samuel says, I truly love you guys. I'm a mailman in Buffalo, but a diehard Ravens fan. I listen to you guys every day. I just thought that was cool.
Thank you, Samuel.
And that's not just because I'm an upstate New Yorker. Now, Buffalo's in Western New York. I know you guys are calling me Bobby Buffalo these days and MAGA Bobby and Bobby Westminster and all these ridiculous labels. I didn't pull it up because of that. I pulled it up because I thought it was cool that we have an audience base that's outside of Baltimore.
Where'd that one come from?
All right. Which one?
Westminster. What's that?
Oh, out in Frederick, Baltimore County.
No, I know where it is, but why are you Bobby Westminster?
I have no idea. I think people are just running with it. They're like attaching some sort of city or town to Bobby and then just running with it.
Tila is not letting. Tila has got your back. Bobby MF Baltimore, she says. She will not put up with the slander.
Luke says Bobby Canton get a date. All right. Well, that's perfect because I'm trying, Luke. Luke. I'm trying to get a date, okay? And I tried in the dog park yesterday. I didn't actually, but I thought it was heading in that direction. Okay. Quickly.
All right.
I told the story on my personal channel yesterday, but just in case you haven't seen it.
Okay.
Obviously, you guys know the context here. 30 years old, dog dad, Canton in Baltimore, looking, having happy about what I've built the last couple of years. Great to be with my co-host Sarah. Like we're having fun. I feel like I'm living freely. Blah 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 blah. I'm ready for that other element of my life, which is why in the off season you see me all over the friggin' Northeast trying to date.
Literally,
not
all
often.
The Northeast.
Not often in recent years have I had a whole lot of success in my own backyard in Baltimore. Tilly and I are in Patterson Park yesterday, and we walk into the dog park. And this really cute girl with her dog is a few steps behind me. So I leave the door open.
How tall is she? She's shorter than you?
5'6".
Okay.
5'7". I'm 5'8".
Okay. All right. Keep going. Keep going.
5'6",
wait.
5'7".
What color hair?
Blonde.
Eyes?
She had sunglasses on.
Okay. All right.
Athletic build.
Nice smile.
Joggers. Like I like when. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm
nice
just
smile.
listen. I got a picture in my head. Fall, Patterson Park. She's got her glasses on. Okay, here we go.
Oh, it's a beautiful day in the park. And Tilly and I just finished up a frisbee toss session. Again, sunglasses, blonde, athletic look, athletic build, joggers on. That's always like a sign of that you're an athlete, I find. And a nice rescue dog. Can't remember the name of the dog. I was too focused on her.
Okay.
So I leave the door open, and we're the only two in here. The only two in a pretty sizable dog park in Canton.
Okay.
So sure enough, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to sit over here. I'm not going to make conversation.
What? I thought it was going to be the opposite.
Right away.
Oh, right away.
Obviously, as soon as I've never seen a cute girl in this park just because maybe it's my hours. And I'm not typically there, Sarah, on Wednesdays at 3. Why? Because we have press conferences.
Yep.
I know what I'm doing every Wednesday from 3 from this point forward. But kidding. But or am I? Or am I?
You can't do it today, but you could do it on a coordinator's day. I got your back. I'm going to transcribe the whole thing. It'll all be on Twitter.
No doubt.
I got you.
No doubt.
Okay, go ahead.
So, and by the way, live chat, you're going to be weighing in on this in a minute, so get ready. So, what I meant by that is, as soon as she walks in, I'm not going to make an immediate move. So I sit on a bench. She's on the other side. The dogs start to play together because they're the only two in there. So Tilly is now opening up the door.
Tilly's like the wingman.
Tilly gets it. Tilly, you get it, little girl. She's right below me.
Love you, Tilly.
And so I use that as a way of walking over to just oversee their playing.
Okay.
Both puppies. And that's how I started conversation. I was like, hey, what kind of dog, how's it going? I think I said, how's it going?
Yeah.
She's like, good. How are you? I was like, great. And what kind of dog do you have? And that just set off like probably 5 to 10 minutes worth of conversing back and forth.
Both dogs and kids, they're great conversation starters. Great.
For
you
sure.
can talk about it forever.
For
Easy discussion. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Definitely. Hopefully she doesn't have kids. So Not that would deter me, but I'm picky. So we start talking about college background, how we got to Baltimore. She's from Virginia, somehow involved with Johns Hopkins. And literally in the middle of that conversation, another guy walks into the park with his 2 dogs.
Oh, he better back up.
And those dogs start to play with our 2 dogs.
Okay.
And now we have a 3-way dynamic instead of a one-on-one vibe that she and I had.
Okay.
So now I'm like, son of a, this is, I don't want to like make her feel awkward and maybe start to continue the conversation about other things, getting to know one another.
Right.
Because then if I ask for her number or give her mine in front of this guy, it would get real weird real quick.
You can't.
So I retreated to my bench.
Okay.
I retreated to my bench. She is at hers, which is probably 15, 20 feet to my left. He's just standing up playing with the dogs, and everybody's quiet.
Okay.
So now I'm like, in my head, I'm like, shoot, I don't know what to do here. She's also, there's back and forth conversation, but Sarah, it's like, I get the sense a little bit based on a couple awkward pauses that maybe she has a significant other. Because while we're both balanced and asking each other questions, it was definitely more so me that was driving it.
Okay.
So in my head, I'm like, I've been here before, literally just on Friday night. I'm at dinner. I didn't even tell you this. Oh, God. I promise I'm not desperate. I'm just ready to find somebody, okay? And so the waitress at this restaurant in downtown Baltimore, I thought we were vibing throughout the entire night.
Just took. Okay.
I took her number at the end of the night.
Oh, okay.
Never heard from her after.
Well, you got her number.
Well, I got her number, and I texted her.
Oh, and she didn't respond.
And I think she's got a boyfriend.
Oh,
but she gave me her number.
Why does she give you the number? She has a boyfriend.
I don't know.
No.
Or she had second thoughts about my story.
Okay, let's get back to the dog park girl. She's the one who's got my attention right now. Okay, keep going.
I told you I was going long story short, but I've provided a lot of context. So sorry for the long-winded story. But just to finish it off, when we're all sort of retreating to our benches, and it's been like that for a few minutes, she makes her move to start putting her stuff together, and I'm like, shoot, it's now or never. What do I do? And I opted, as she walked by, I said, hey, nice to meet you. She's like, yeah, you too. I said, I'm Bobby, by the way. And she says, I'm Devin. And her body kind of like kept walking.
Oh.
And I said, if it's meant to be and this girl's single, I'll see her in the dog park again. And I let it go.
Ah!
Yep. So that's so with all of that said, live chat.
That's where that story ended?
Did I make the right decision by not sticking my neck out there?
We just had a 10-minute discussion for it to end. Cameron wanted me to hear the story of this long.
Listen, I was only 5 days.
Listen,
removed.
I get that you're picking up on the body language. I hear you. But that is not where I thought that story was going.
I wish it had a different ending too, but 5 days prior, maybe it was in my head that I stuck my neck out there at dinner and got completely denied by somebody who apparently has a girlfriend, has a boyfriend. And so in my head, I was like, I just kind of get the sense that no ring, but I kind of got the sense that she may have a significant other. And I, look, you can say I laid down.
If not to make you whatever, if I were the girl in that situation and I was interested in the guy and then he restarted up the conversation and said, I'm Bobby, by the way, like I would have made time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I get that you probably read the situation correctly. It was just not where I wanted the story to go.
I hear you. I'm with you too.
Where's Devin? Devin, who are you?
I know. That's
where are you?
It's like, did I? Believe me, I know live chat is all over the place right now. I'm telling you right now, you guys don't know a ton about my personality outside the show. I'm willing to stick my neck out there.
Oh, but don't you worry. Bobby's not that's not a problem. You probably read the situation. You actually, and I've only met you in person a couple of times.
Hard to believe.
Which is funny. But it's not just you, it's your whole family. Like all of you guys are extremely well put together in social situations. like really well put together. Like you guys know how to have a conversation, you know how to talk, but you know how to listen, you know how to move things forward. You're not nervous. You make other people feel at ease. Like I'm just thinking back to the Super Bowl and the gazillion people that we met, and every situation that you were in, you're just that's not your problem at all. You probably read the situation correctly.
That's the bummer about it, right? Because in a place like Baltimore, I've found, 30 when you have a list of preferences, maybe you're picky, blah, blah, blah. There is sort of like a small bucket, I feel like, that I have to choose from within the dating community. And when you meet somebody in person, it's so much more refreshing and encouraging than it is online.
Sure.
And so, of course, that's in my head too, walking out of that park. It is a deflating feeling walking out of that park. I won't lie.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of weddings I've been to, engagements I see on Instagram every single day. I mean, you start to, I'm not saying I'm in any rush or do I feel that type of pressure.
No,
Siblings
but you know
have
that you're
significant
ready.
others.
You know that you're ready. Yeah.
I'm the oldest of 4. Two of the 3 younger ones have significant others
but
that
that
are
shouldn't
very
put pressure on
significant.
you.
No, but
yeah.
So
yeah.
I figured you guys would appreciate that one.
I don't appreciate it.
Well, yeah, you don't appreciate the
I don't
ending.
appreciate the ending. But it's always fun to go on the little ride for sure and listen to these stories. And now we're an hour 17 in.
I was gonna say, let's jump. You guys are
But
the
it's
best.
always
for
good to do it
listening.
at the end.
The live chat has got some great response rate right now. Appreciate you. But to be continued. And yes, every single Wednesday at 3, you will catch me in Patterson Park for the foreseeable future. We'll see what happens. All right, people.
All right.
Tomorrow, hopefully a Bucks guest at 12:30. Still more work to do there. Please like the video if you enjoyed today's live stream. Capped off by Bobby Batchelor.
Bobby Batchelor. There we go. Let's stop picking a city. Bobby Batchelor.
Let's stop picking any city that comes to mind, regardless of whether or not there's Maryland roots to it. But anyway, you guys are the best. Please like the video if you enjoyed today's show. Subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content. And for my co-host and partner, Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Thursday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. We'll catch up with you in under 23 hours from right now for a Friday edition. We look forward to it. And as always, thanks for being with us here inside the vault.